Hello and welcome back to the Becoming Her challenge. And on today's episode, we have a very special guest with us today who's going to share her journey of becoming a multi-seven-figure entrepreneur, one who has built through lots of different times of adversity, and she's here to share her story on what it really takes to become the woman who can build the business whilst also managing the family and all the other things. So, welcome, Laurie Burrows.
Hey, excited to be here.
It is so lovely to have you here. So, let's start with really an introduction to you. Like, for anyone who is meeting you for the first time, or maybe this is the first time someone's really getting to know you on a deeper level, like, who are you and what are you devoted to right now?
I love that question. Who am I? So, always start by saying I am a mum to a very, very cheeky 5-year-old boy. I am a business owner. I now have two businesses. The second one is what I'm working on at the moment called Ascendia OS.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen about that. Do you want to share a little bit about that? And we can obviously get into that a bit, but I've seen that you've had a very successful first launch with that.
Yeah, so I mean, I came into this online space in 2020. And when I came into this online space, what I really built my name around was helping businesses and entrepreneurs to make more money, but not just make more money, to make more like passive and semi-passive revenue so that they could really create a business that fits around them, not the other
Mhm.
way around, which is exactly what I've done. But this year, 2026, I've done a bit of a pivot, quite a big pivot,
Mhm.
and decided to launch a completely new business called Ascendia OS, which is a software company.
Yeah, that is so exciting. And how, well, we'll dive into that in a little bit. I want to quickly dive into the becoming that got you to that part. And so, like, where did your journey begin?
So back in 2020, typical story. I always say it is a typical story to begin with because I started this business like most people start a business. I was just fed up of my job. I was in marketing, working for a company, and I just fucking hated it. I was like clock watching every single day. I was living for the weekends, and I was just majorly underappreciated. And I just decided enough was enough. And it just gave me the kick up the ass that I needed to finally start a business.
Mhm.
So 2020, early 2020, I decided to turn my expertise, all my expertise in marketing and sales, into this online business that I've grown and now generated multiple seven figures in.
Mm.
It was to have a bit more money, a bit more freedom, but just a few weeks after officially launching the business, I found out I was unexpectedly pregnant. And I always say unexpectedly pregnant because I'd only known my son's dad for 6 weeks when we found out. So a bit of an oopsie daisy, the best oopsie daisy I've ever made. But in that moment, so much changed for me. I was quite young. I had no idea that before that moment, I wanted to be a mum yet. But the day that I found out I was pregnant, after doing 7 pregnancy tests just to like really make sure I was, that all I wanted to do in that moment was be a mum.
Mm.
But I just started this business. Like I've just birthed the business. I'm about to birth the baby. So I had to figure out how I was going to grow a business that would allow me to have a business, have that freedom to be a full-time mum. And that's exactly what I did. So whilst I was pregnant, I set up everything. I started growing this business that allowed me to fit around my little boy. Like
Mm.
I would work when he was napping. Like they say when little ones nap, you should nap. When
Yeah.
little one naps, that's when I was fitting things in and working. Like I grew my business working in the hours he was napping, working in
Mm.
the evenings.
Yeah. Yeah. And being a new mom myself, I totally get that. Like those nap times are so, it's like, right, what am I going to do? What am I going to get done? And as they get older, they get like shorter and shorter and shorter as well, don't they? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So you find out that you are pregnant and you've just committed to starting this business, right? Like, how much do you feel that because you built this business, by the way, I just want to point out as well, to seven figures, right? Like in a very short space of time, which is a very unicorn thing to do in the online space, right? Like we hear a lot of big numbers, but very few people actually do it in such fast timing. And
Mm.
so the identity that took you from being an employee to then just find out that you're going to be a mum to then being this seven-figure business owner who is also a mum. How were you a mum? Yeah, you were a mum then. And so what was the identity shift that happened? And was it like when you found out you were pregnant, was that when the identity shift happened? Or like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think my identity shift, to be honest, came a lot later, like years down the line, in all fairness, because I
Right.
think, like, I know I grew my business very quickly. Like, that first year, I generated around $200,000. And by month 18, I'd celebrated that six-figure month. But I always like to make it clear to people, like, my whole background, my whole career was in marketing and sales. So I had a major, major head start on everyone else starting businesses. Like I knew exactly what I needed to do to attract and convert clients, which is why like I got that unicorn moment and was able to grow so quickly. A lot of people starting businesses and growing businesses, they have to learn all of this stuff on top of it. Whereas I got to skip that whole phase. And I think for me, my career has always been very, very important. Like my dad growing up sort of put that into my head to always focus on my career, which is why I didn't think I'd have a baby until sort of mid 30s. I
Mhm.
had my little boy mid 20s. So I think for me, I was always in that identity of like being achieving, succeeding, and then having like my little boy, I was continuing to do that just in a very different way. I guess the identity I did adopt was being a mum, but it was sort of later down the line where I feel like I had that big identity shift more recently, hence the second company, because when I started this business, I was so much was happening. I was pregnant. I'd only known the person for 6 weeks. Then 6 weeks after that, COVID happened. So suddenly I was then having to make this decision on what the fuck do I do? Because I'd only known this person now 12 weeks. Suddenly COVID's happening. We've been put in a lockdown, which meant we had to live together. We're having a baby together. We didn't really have much choice. So I was now starting a business, pregnant, and then moving in with a man I'd only known for a few months. And then on top of that, my dad was diagnosed with a really rare brain condition. Around the time of lockdown happening, I just noticed he wasn't himself. Like we went to meet at a restaurant that we always go to, and he was late because he got lost. So things just weren't quite adding up. So he then got sick, and then just about 2 months after that, we found out it was terminal and that he might not even survive 6 months. He held on long enough to see my little boy. But I think for me, when it comes to the identity piece, I didn't have time to think about it because it was just go, go, go. It was one thing after the next, all of these life changes. And then I had my little boy. Oh God, I'm getting goosebumps on that. I had my little boy, and then not long later, I lost my dad. So I always call 2021 like the best year of my life because I was a new mum. Like the business was growing. I was able to do all of these amazing things, but it was the worst year because I'd never lost anyone before. So now I was suddenly losing the person who was my entire world. And then a couple of months after that, I lost my nan as well. And I was just flooded with all of these emotions of being a new mum and grieving and not knowing how to process it. So, how I processed it was outside of being a mum, I just focused on my business. Like, anytime I got to myself, I avoided thinking about it. It would just be business, business, business. So, I think within all of that, I was so focused on that. I kind of, I guess, in some ways, lost my identity until it suddenly all hit me a couple of years later.
Wow.
I
So
know.
okay, yeah, but the thing is, all right, it's like that is something so heavy to carry, like so many different things going on at once, like 2020, lockdown happening, that uncertainty, pregnancy, new relationship, business, and then obviously all of these family, like, oh my goodness, like that is so many things pulling you in so many directions. And so like for all, I can't wait to hear about this new identity, but like who like was it just like you just didn't have time to think of any of that? It was just like go, 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 like I don't have time to think because I don't feel like lots of people would be able to actually really walk through that and carry all of that, you know, and handle it the way that you have.
I mean, say I handled it, but I wasn't necessarily handling it. I was distracting myself with the business, which I think is
Right.
why it still grew so quickly. Like my time was spent being a mum. When I wasn't being a mum, it was then business.
Mm. Okay.
And I would keep myself busy in between. It was then sort of going into, I guess, 2022, 2023, where I guess I just began to break down. I remember sitting in my living room and I was in there on the sofa for a good few days, just absolutely fucking miserable. And I felt really selfish and guilty for being so miserable because I had this business that was generating money. Like I had this life that people wanted. I had bought the dream house at such a young age. Like I was doing all of these things, but internally I realized I was absolutely fucking miserable. Like I
Mm.
just had this, I could just describe it, it was like a black ball inside my chest. Like it was like I just couldn't breathe. And it because I just held on to all of these emotions and everything that had happened and didn't really process it. I just completely ignored it.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. And so from that time then sitting on the couch and realizing that like you've got everything that you that people would say that you want, but you feel miserable, like what was the process there? Like what unfolded from there to get you to where you are now? I would love to hear a little bit of that journey and the identity shift that you've recently had.
I think from there, I then healing journey. And I say a bit of a healing journey because I wasn't overly consistent with it. I would stop and I'd start and I'd stop and I'd start because processing all of this emotion was quite new to me.
Mhm.
And also, as the years were going by, I was losing more family members. So, not long later, I then lost my pops. So I
Mm.
lost another grandparent. And then 2025, I think's where the shift completely happened for me. So 2025, the time that I'd hit, I'd been separated from my ex-husband for a year. And I was just going, it was a brutal divorce. It was absolutely awful. I'd never experienced pain like it and just the things that he was doing to me as well. So I was going into 2025 and going through this brutal divorce. My mum was then diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. So I was suddenly having to look after her and drive her to multiple appointments. I've got a little brother, very, very big age gap, about 17, 18 years. So as my mum got sicker, I suddenly became a full-time parent to him, and he was coming to live with me. So I now had two boys going to two schools, both 30 minutes from me and both 30 minutes from each other. So I was navigating a new routine. But then my granddad became end of life with cancer. So my mum's dad, he was getting sicker and sicker with his cancer. So on top of looking after my mum and my brother, I was looking after him as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then we unfortunately lost him this time last year.
I'm so
So I
sorry.
think going into 2025, I went in all guns blazing. I was like, this is going to be a fucking amazing year after this really shitty divorce, and I'm finding myself again. And it
Mhm.
was like life hit me again. It was just like that massive slap round the face. And I had to take a step back from my business to just be there for my family and just to support them all and look after. Now, originally it was just my little boy, but now I had three extra people that I had to care for and be there for. And it was a lot to hold. But I realized going into 2025, what I couldn't do was what I did when I lost my dad and my nan in 2021, which was to distract myself, which was to just bottle it all up and just hold on to all of those emotions. I knew that I'd have to process differently. I learned that it's not normal to have to hold all of this stuff. So I'd have to find a way of holding this grief, this heartbreak, this pain around the divorce and find a different way to process it all. So one thing that I did in 2025 was I made the decision to just become the best version of myself.
Okay.
When I've got to be there for everyone else and do all of these things, how can I actually be there for myself as well? So that's what I did. I focused on just every day, what is something that I can do today that's just going to help me to become that best version of myself or be the best that I can in this moment with everything going on. And it just led to me completely changing my identity.
Mm.
I adopted healthy habits. I created a routine. I cut out alcohol. I focused on myself, mind, body, and soul. Like if you look at images from 2 years ago, like I am unrecognizable now.
Yeah.
And that got me through 2025. I was able to hold all of this because I was focusing on me
Mm,
whilst
mm,
focusing on everyone else, which also sounds a bit weird, but that
yeah.
allowed me to get through it, but led to then my whole identity just completely changed. I feel like a whole new person.
Yeah. And you know what? You look like a whole new person as well. Like you look so happy. Like your presence on social media like is really magnetic and attractive. Like it's like it really draws you in. So I'm really happy to hear that obviously you've come through this whole new identity. For anyone who's listening, what are and someone who's like, you know what, like I need to focus on me, like I've been focusing everywhere else and I want to focus on me. Like what are some of those things? I know that you cut out alcohol and change your healthy habits, but like what are some action steps that like either questions that people can ask themselves to go deeper or like what did that look like for you in the very beginning when it was just like small actions of becoming the best version of you?
I think the most important thing is to start small. Like before 2025, I was trying to do these things. Like when I had that breakdown on the sofa up until sort of 2024, 25, I was trying to do things. I just wasn't consistent.
Mhm.
But I think that part is the key bit is getting consistent, choosing one thing, getting consistent with that. Get consistent, add
Mhm.
another thing in.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like the some of the biggest game changers was remind myself that my current situation, what I'm in, is not my forever. It's
Mhm.
only temporary. And literally any life that I want that I can think of in my mind, I can literally create and I can have. It's just right now in this moment, I am going through something. But as long as I can handle it in the right way, it's going to lead me a step closer to that life that I do desire. So having that mindset definitely helps. But then every day doing one action. And my biggest action that I took, do it now every single day, my absolute non-negotiable was introducing future self visualization into my life.
Mhm.
So every morning, waking up before my little boy wakes up because it's impossible when he's up, waking up before him and just doing a 20-minute, and it doesn't even have to be 20 minutes if you don't have 20 minutes, but just doing a future self visualization where I'm visualizing future self, visualizing a day in my future, what that looks like, how I'm feeling, making sure I'm really feeling those emotions as I am doing it. And then from that visualization, asking myself simply, am I on track to make this happen?
Mhm.
If yes, how can I stay on track today? What is something I can do to stay on track to get a step closer to that? If I'm not, how do I get myself back on track so I'm not falling into old patterns that might not lead to that? And just that simple task, that simple, let's call it a task. It's not a task. I love it now. Like I love getting up in the morning and doing it. It took practice,
Mhm.
it took time, but just doing that one simple thing just it kept me going every day through all of this hard shit, but it kept me on track. It kept me accountable to then get to where I am now today. Like literally the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm so happy for you. And I think it's so important when we want to create change to know who it is that we want to become, you know, like we don't have to see the whole picture so clearly, but like having that intention of, okay, like how do I want to see my life? Like how do I want to feel? Like who do I want to be? Because there's so many like quotes like that's saying, or like without a vision, or like you can just be wandering along and who knows where you'll end up. And so I love that reminder to really get clear and be visualizing that. So from that shift then, so obviously you're happiest that you've ever been now. What are like some of the biggest things that you had to let go of to become who you are now, whether that's beliefs, identity, habits, like what were the like three biggest things that you had to
Oh,
release?
what a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. I think literally breaking the habit of being myself. Dr. Joe Dispenza has a whole book on it. I've listened, I've read that book, God knows how many times. Um, I think like when I think about my whole process, And especially everything I went through in 2025. And I wish I had those tools back in 2021,
Mm.
but everything comes for a reason. And everything led me to finding these tools that I needed. But I had this vision, and it was really thinking every day, who do I need to become today future to make that future happen? What is it that I actually need to do today? Because the goals that you have, the life that you want, the person who has that isn't who you are today. And I think that was a big realization that I had. That I had to think, okay, future me who has this life, everything that she wants to have, who has she become? How does she act? How does she show up? How does she make decisions? What habits does she have? Well, future her, she's not bottling up all of her emotions. She's not drinking through those emotions. She's not making excuse to why she can't go to the gym today. She's not distracting herself with another episode of Married at First Sight or whatever is on at the moment. And that's what I really had to sort of break out of. Like looking at where I am now, looking versus where I want to be, and looking, okay, what is the difference
Mhm.
within those two people? I think a next thing would have then been other people's opinions. I've always been a people pleaser. I've always been worried about what other people think. And I think especially in the online space, we see all of these people who celebrate. They celebrate their success, they celebrate the money they're making, the first class flights, all of these things, and good on them.
Yeah.
But for you looking at that, I think for me, I would look at that and I think if I didn't have those things, I wasn't successful. I think a big realization was I got drawn into other people's version of success. And I started creating that version of success. But then when in 2025 I realized that actually everything I built I didn't want anymore, there was that then worry of, well, what are people going to think of me now? What are people going to think of me because my revenue isn't growing, it's going backwards? What are people going to think of me because I'm not doing this, I'm now doing that? Like all of these thoughts of other people's opinions. And actually, their opinions aren't going to make the life that I want. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to really sort of let go of that and realize I need to do what I want, not based on what other people think of me, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And I can totally relate to that, like on so many levels. I also found myself like building a business that like when I first got into business, like it was just not my vision for a business, but you get sucked in to like online of like what you think it should look like and what it should be. And I was like, wow, like this isn't what I want to do anymore, and so I can and again, that of like, what will people think of me if I take a break, if I do X, Y, and Z? Like, I have been there as well. So, what is one thing? Because it's so easy to say, just don't care what people think, right? Like, just take the moves. But what is like a tool or mindset shift that you can give that, like, to help someone to really step into, I'm going to let go of really worrying what other people think. Like, I'm going to really be fully focused on me. Like, was that like any somatic work that you did or like what, if you want to share?
Yeah, I do get asked this a lot because I've changed so much, and people can see it, especially physically, over the last sort of couple of years. And I always get asked about like the mindset work around it. And I've done a lot of work. Like, I've worked with some amazing people. Caroline Strawson, she's in the UK, absolutely incredible. Highly recommend looking her up. She fucking changed my life in 2025. I worked with her one to one, and I would have not got through my brutal divorce if it wasn't for her. So through working with experts, that definitely helped. But in terms of like the consistent work I do, it's not like as much or what people think. It has just been through consistency again.
Mm.
And the biggest thing that has really helped me is that future self visualization. I'd say out of all of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years, that is the only thing that I really do consistently. And
Mm.
when it comes to mindset, when it comes to how I'm feeling, that's what I go back to that future visualization, closing my eyes, visualizing future me, visualizing how she is showing up, the habits, the decisions, and what she is doing. And I do it every morning, but I'll do it throughout the day as well, because it just helps sort of, I guess, give me that reset. It gets me the right mindset.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's nothing big, it's nothing complicated. It's doing that,
Yeah.
working with people like Caroline, and then there's loads of self-help content out there, like Dr. Joe Dispenza. His books have been
Love him.
absolute game changer. Michael A. Singer, he's one that I recently read and listened to as well. When I have something I like to do both. I'll read it and listen to it. And his what's it called The Surrender Experiment. Highly, highly recommend everyone read or listen to that. That for me was a huge, huge game changer. Just surrendering, even
Yeah.
when it feels really hard. I literally will just sit there and I will just tell myself to surrender. Like what happens, happens. It's only now. It's only temporary. It's going to lead to something else, and get excited to what it's going to lead to, even if it's
Yeah.
really fucking hard. Like that's what I do. And even now in the most difficult situations where most people would probably get stressed out or panic, like I am just so calm, so collected about everything. And I just literally trust in the universe. Like everything, I just trust in the universe. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Do you know, I read The Surrender Experiment back in like 2021 or something, and it changed so much for me as well. And I actually feel like I'm gonna revisit that book because I haven't actually read it
Do
since then. But I remember reading it and feeling and experiencing such a shift because it really is that like, okay, surrender, surrender, and like just allowing for life to unfold. So definitely check out that book if you are listening. Like, go Michael A. Singer, The Surrender Experiment. So let's put it to the other way, right? So obviously you talked about what you've had to release, but so this version of you now, right? Like what are like the three most powerful shifts that you have become? Like what's the biggest shifts in identity? I know that you said that you're the happiest that you've ever been, and I know there you were saying that you're so calm, surrendered, but like tell us a little bit more about like it now.
I think as I started doing all of these things, it's like last year, it's so hard to even describe the pain now because of how I feel.
Hmm.
But this time last year, I definitely did not feel like this. Like it was just, yeah, absolutely awful. But when I started doing all of these things, the future self-visualization, meditating, focusing on self-developing, gym, run, like introducing all of these guess healthy habits. Don't know if that's quite the right word, but that just led to this big identity shift. And when I started shifting my identity, it's like all of these books that I've read from Dr. Joe Dispenza and whoever else, it was like, ah, okay, they're right. Everything they say is right. Because as soon as I shifted my identity, it was just like everything fell into place. I just naturally was just it's really hard to explain because I've not really actually shared this on anywhere or any podcast, but it was like everything was just falling into place.
Hmm.
Whether that was a download I had, and based on that download, made a decision, which is how the second company came about, or whether it was like a decision to take particular action that, for example, led me to meeting my partner, who is just like the most incredible human on this planet. Uh, it was just yeah, everything just began falling into place.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's always hard to describe. It's
Yeah.
like one of those things now where I'm thinking I really want to sit down and actually work out what are all the things that I did to get to this point.
Yeah, because sometimes it does, it just all unfolds. And for me, I find that it's the more that you, for me, like the more that I let go of any resistance and just allow myself to feel into like whatever's coming up, the more everything starts to unfold. And I did that when I was like when I attracted my current partner, like he is the love of my life, like the father of my children, and like would just have the best relationship ever. And that really came from me, like just really surrendering into the
Mm,
uncomfortable feelings and just deciding like who am I? What am I available for? And just really deciding that like I'm not available for anything but what I say that I want and like holding that standard. So
yeah, love that.
it is, it's like you look at it and you think, how did it like how did you get here? You know, like it's just like So yeah, it would be something fun for you to explore for sure. Having a look at like what are all of those points. So the next thing that I wanted to come into was obviously like how your new company was birthed. And so it came through a download. And do you want to share a little bit more about like that and how that's really being supported in this new identity, in this new era that you're in?
Yeah, so I've always been known for growing this business, as we've learned on this episode, through some like really crazy shit and just life, lifing and everything being thrown at me. So I've always been known for growing a business around all of this. And that's why a lot of business owners and founders come to me. They want to grow their business to just get their life back. They want a business that if something happens, they can step away from it. So I built everything based on that, on helping businesses create more money, helping founders create more freedom. And I stuck to it. But I think it's probably about a couple of years ago, it just didn't quite feel as aligned anymore.
Mhm.
But I kept going, like pushing through, kept going there with the offers, doing the things that I had to do because it was what I was known for. And I think 2025 in this whole shift, like, and that identity piece, I realized like actually it's okay to let go.
Mm.
Like it's okay to let go of these things generated multi seven figures in sales. It's okay just to let go. But the problem was I didn't know what my next move was. Like I didn't have that next step when I was making all of these decisions. Just did not feel aligned to the business that had grown anymore. And then early on in 2026, that's kind of where I got the download. The online space, as we know, has completely shifted. We keep hearing that what used to work isn't working the same anymore. People aren't buying in the same way. The programs, the courses, all of this that used to sell just isn't working the same way anymore,
Mhm.
which is true. It is not working the same way anymore. And back earlier in the year, I was kind of reflecting on next steps of the business and what I wanted to do. And then I got this download on the next steps, which was about turning my expertise into an AI, which now is all the rage and really popular because people who've been done it before have started teaching it like myself. I'm now teaching others to do the same. It was like one of those typical shower downloads.
Mm.
So I learned how to build my own custom AI. I learned how to build my own software. And then suddenly the excitement was back, the spark was back, just doing that.
Mm.
And that excitement was there. And I realized, okay, this is actually what I need to focus on. I don't need to be focusing on this over here. I need to continue to do that. And part of that came from just looking at we talked a lot about like the identity piece, but the strategic piece of it all, it was looking at the moment, people aren't buying like they used to. What
Mhm.
are the reasons why people aren't buying like they used to? And I looked at all of the reasons, did research. I looked at all of the objections that we had had in the business around why people are not buying. And the most common ones were they've been there, they've done it, like they've done courses, they've done programs, they're bored of them, or they've signed up to courses and programs, they're still not getting the results that they want to get. Another one being, again, the course and programs, they don't want more content, they don't want another 100 hours of material that they need to go through. And I think it's just now so overloaded, become so saturated. There was a shift in buying. So I
Mm.
took all of these objections, all of this research, and thought, okay, how do I also create something that solves all of this? If someone comes to me and says, I don't want any more training, I don't want another 100 hours, I need implementation, what can I say? Well, what can I give them?
Mhm.
So I was taking all of these, and that's where that part of that download came from of, okay, what if I had an offer where they don't have to take 100 hours of training to get a result, where they could get answers straight away that would tell them exactly what to do, which is where the AI came about. Got
Mm.
really excited by that and then created a whole company around it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like I'm seeing your posts, like it really taking off. And so what's next for you? Like who are like all in the business, but also like just in you, like who are you becoming and what is the vision that you are currently visualizing in that future self? Like who are you becoming in your business, in motherhood, in your relationship, like in all of the things?
Just continuing on the path I'm on at the moment, I think one thing that I've realized is I don't want to get sucked into other people's version of success again. just focusing on like what success is to me. Like I bought the dream house and I'm selling the dream house and more than happy to downsize as long as like I'm with my partner and my little boy. So the focus moving forward is going to be to grow the new software company. It's software that doesn't require me and my face. People are buying because of the software, not because of me, which is also what I wanted to do. It's another business that allows me to grow without growing the hours because moving forward, like what I'm visualizing is becoming a mum again.
Mm.
I mentioned before we jumped on this, like I want to have another baby, and I'm so excited, like in the future to become a mum again. So I need to make sure, like whatever my next steps are, it's got to be to allow for that. But that at the moment, when I visualize the future, it is just yeah, being my partner, being my little boy, having another baby. And in all honesty, I do not care where we are, don't really care where we're living, as long as we're all together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful because it really is like it's the things, when people say like it's the little things, but it really is, it's like the relationships and we can look at our life and we're actually so rich and we've actually got so much success in it already. And like the online space can really have us thinking that like chasing things that I'm seeing such a pattern in people's content on the online space of like people who have been chasing success to realize that like the world's version of success isn't really what they want. And I think a lot of people are feeling this call to like come back to themselves and just come back to the things that actually really matter in life. So that's a really beautiful vision and I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, I think it's coming back to things as well that just what actually makes you happy and reminding yourself like what that is. Like I'm in a place in my life now where I'm so happy, I'm so content with just everything I've got, other than having a little one, maybe a couple more if we can squeeze them in. Like there is nothing else that I could want for. And I think it's just because I just stopped getting drawn into other people's version of success. Like I, yeah, don't care about traveling around the world first class anymore. I don't care about buying a bigger house or a nicer car. Like what I care about is being able to turn my laptop off and go for a walk for a couple of hours any time of the day I want, being able to go to the gym whenever I want, being able to take a week's holiday with my little boy whenever I want. Like, I think, yeah, if anyone takes anything away from this whole episode, is just find your own version of happiness and what that is rather than getting sucked into someone else's.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was going to be my last question for you is like, what would your like piece be to say to anyone who's on this path? And so, thank you so much for jumping on it. I've actually loved listening to your story and of your becoming. It's just beautiful to watch you online as well. So, let us know like where can people find you, and obviously let us know like where can people find you for the software, if you've got any offers on or any free events that people can join and come along to, like let us know all of the things.
The easiest one is just come and follow me over on Instagram. It's underscore Laurie Burrows. But on there, pretty much documenting my journey of on growing the new business, Ascend OS. So the goal is to grow it to 1,000 members in the next 12 months.
Mhm.
And I'm documenting the journey because a lot of businesses are struggling at the moment. Like there's businesses that have done really well and now their sales are declining. There are businesses that no matter what they put out there, no one is buying. So I'm actually documenting growing this business in real time so people can see what is working, what isn't working, what to do next. But also on there, I'll put all of like my free stuff. So the software, any free events that I'm doing, I always post it over there.
Okay, great. Well, we will follow you. Just one last question, I guess, from just what you've said there. Not on a becoming place, but just from your area of expertise when it comes to strategy and stuff, like when you say that you're seeing like a lot of businesses that are struggling and not getting the sales and stuff, like what do you see that being a result of? I know that obviously people are buying. I know you said that like people are buying differently, but like in terms of Vav, not just from the consumer's part, but from like business, from the business perspective, sort of thing, like what do you see and what can people be doing to shift that?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, like what people are investing in has changed. And I
Mhm.
think with that as a business, we then need to look at what it is that we're selling, at what price point we're selling it as well. And you don't have to create a whole new offer. Like I'm sure like these businesses will have offers they already have, but looking at when you're getting all of these objections, how can you create an offer that handles all those objections? That's what I did with my first AI. Like people didn't want more trainings and more courses. They needed implementation. They wanted access to me, but not everyone could afford access to me. So I created me in AI form. So I think as a business, having a look at an offer and make sure you've got an offer that people actually want to buy right now, not something that might have sold back in 2021, 2022, because what people are buying has changed. Now, I'm not saying courses and programs are dead for any coaches listening to this, mentors, online educators, they're not. It's just about how you market them and talk about them. Like the end result is absolutely key, so is implementation. So I think like that's really a big one. I'm working with businesses at the moment, even those making multiple six, seven figures a year, where what used to sell isn't selling the same. And when we fix their offer and we look at how they're talking about that offer, that has made such a difference. Every person I've worked with who has created something for implementation, like an AI or a software, the sales are now increasing rather than going backwards. I think the second thing as well is it's not about just being the best anymore. When the industry is getting more and more and more saturated, it is about becoming the best known.
Mm.
And those who are becoming the best knowns are the ones that are really succeeding at the moment. And it is really focusing on visibility and that visibility strategy, which I know some entrepreneurs listening to this, if they're further along in their business, will think, well, that sounds quite basic. But I can tell you now, they're probably not doing what they need to be doing to get visible. Everything I've done in my business, I've set up in such a way now that it doesn't require me. Like last week, we were in launch. I was in France on holiday with next to no Wi-Fi and internet because I've set my business up so it doesn't have to require me. But the one thing that I do focus on is top of funnel, which is building awareness through our visibility strategy, doing things like this that do require my face and my voice.
Mm.
So when I'm still limited for time, because my little boy goes to school, so I work when he's at school, but the school is 30 minutes from me, so it's 2 hours in the car every day where I'm back and forth, and in between that I've got things like my gym and my running. Like I'm limited, so I've had to work smarter, not harder. But the one thing I will focus on is that visibility piece. I mainly do that through things like this, guest speaking, getting in front of other people's audiences, and then also via our awareness ads, which great way to get visible every day. So I think, yeah, any businesses listening, it might be even if they've generated multiple six, seven figures, if they're finding that they're struggling with sales, what used to work isn't working anymore, it's not selling, they might have an offer issue,
Mm.
or it might be that actually they need to shout a bit louder and get a little bit more visible.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was so valuable as well. And I can feel your passion as well when you talk about it, so I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any last things that you are wanting to say, or do you feel complete?
Ah, feel complete. Just come and follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. Follow on Instagram. I will tag it in the description below as well, so it's easy for people to just click at the link of a button. And thank you again so much for coming on. This has been amazing and so grateful for you.
Ah, thank you, my love.